I want to say welcome to you all, and please join me in putting your hands together while we welcome our guest of honor today. Second. Our host of the day, so I'll call on Ms. Marisa by.
So, Mr. Solomon, we're talking about civic engagement. What is civic engagement?
I don't like definitions.
Okay, what do you think?
I like thinking what it is.
Okay, what do you think?
Whenever you ask me definition, I'm thinking about the classroom, which I don't too much like.
You don't like classroom?
Yeah, I don't like going to school. Civic engagement, to me, because I've been in civic engagement, what I do is that I engage with people and we discuss issues that affect our lives.
Okay.
Not just discussing for the sake of discussing, but we discuss as young people, we should try to find solutions or propose solutions to the stakeholders that should be able to help us find the solutions, such as policymakers, such as civic actors, civic actors who've gone ahead of us and that stand in a better place to push for solutions to policy reforms and policy interventions and all whatnot. So I think that civic engagement is more about having young people contribute to issues that matter in their lives.
In the society.
In the society. When you talk about their lives, it's society, because when the society is not well structured, it affects us as young people. My friend Bochum Samuel was sharing and was saying that he watched a video of me while I was in the US and I did a video about Ghost Town. I was denouncing Ghost Town. And so it's dangerous. And that's civic engagement. I needed to speak out because these things affect our lives, and if we keep quiet all the time, it's going to affect us. So like I said, I don't like defining things, I like describing. That's how I can describe civic engagement and cite examples.
All right, thank you very much. You mentioned something about young persons.
Yeah.
Who is a youth? What do you think? I'm not asking for a definition. But who do you think a youth is? Because we have so many definitions. Some people limit it to age.
Yeah.
Some people say from so and so age to so and so age, you're considered a youth. Others will say it's a matter of mindset.
I go with that.
With the second?
Yeah, I go with
okay.
the second. It's a matter of mindset. President Bobia even said he's a youth. So, President Bobia is not my good friend though. But I like some of his outings. He said he's a youth one time. And I think that when he says he's a youth, it doesn't really mean that he's a young person. He thinks that he's the way he thinks.
He thinks like a youth.
He thinks like a youth, and there's a way young people think. To me, a youth is the person that owns the future. A youth is that person that foresees the future and takes action now towards building that future, that sustainable future. Who is a youth in the part? A youth is like you and I, who are sitting and discussing about our lives and how they're going to affect us in the future. A youth is somebody who is active in the society. A youth is somebody whose mind is strong, who is hustling and struggling to find one or two things and struggling to make the society better because we have a better tomorrow. To me, that's a youth.
That's a youth.
Yes.
So it's about our mindset.
It's about our mindset.
And the need we see in our society or our communities, how we can help, how we can relate to it.
And unfortunately, my definition of youth is going to be biased with people who are not active. But I think that in my own context, a youth must be active.
Must be active.
Yes. In my context, I would say to be a youth is to participate. Okay. Some people say to live is to participate, but I say to be a youth is to participate. If you are not participating, you are not a youth in my context. You are a youth in
what
my
are
context.
You? In your context, what is that person?
In my context, a youth is Marie Sabine, who's hosting the MS show. youth is my brother here holding the camera. Youth is Brother Samuel advocating for peace. Youth is Mete Piero who stands in court and defends people. That's a youth to me who is actively involved in something in society. Okay. That's a youth in my context, and then preparing for a better tomorrow. If you're just a youth who sits at home, eats food, and then you wait for your mother, I'm sorry. I don't know who you are, but
you're something else.
Yes, you're something else.
So I read somewhere on Facebook that you recently came back from the Mandela Washington Fellowship.
Oh wow.
Yes. So can you tell us your experience? What amazed you the more? Because I believe that you've been in activism in Cameroon for quite a time, right?
Yeah.
For a long while. Now, the experience of Mandela Washington Fellowship was just an added advantage.
Yeah.
Now you can easily do like a comparison between the two. So, what do you think? What is your experience? How was it?
The first experience is that I was the first person in my family to travel to America. Okay. That's the first person experience. You are not clapping for me. I said I was the first person in my family to travel to America.
It's not easy.
Come on. Yeah, that's the first experience. But to be candid, when I was in the US, I wish that every young leader in Cameroon should become a Mandela Washington Fellow. It's an amazing platform.
Okay.
Yeah, and when I look at what was going on there, I salute President Obama, Barack Obama. That guy has a vision. That guy is a visionary. He saw it. He saw that he could create a platform where emerging leaders from Africa can to the United States on their skills, going to create networks, going to interact with some of the powerful leaders in the United States and build that sustainable network and create a sustainable relationship between Africa and the United States. That's the objective of the Washington Fellowship. While I was there, I wasn't excited about the fact that I was in the United States. I was like the first person in my family to travel there, but I was excited about the connections that I was building there.
The network.
Sitting, and talking with some of the finest leaders in the United States that I never believed in my life that could ever happen. Never believed that I could sit down one-on-one and talk with personal advisors to President Barack Obama. I never believed that I could sit down one-on-one and having a discussion with secretaries of state for African affairs, with high-profile diplomats and government officials in the U.S. government. I never believed that could happen in my life, but thanks to the Mandela Washington Fellowship, that was happening. It's
all right. True. Thank you very much. So going back to our topic of the day, which is youth participation in civic leadership. Now, I have a main challenge, right? As youth activists, we come in contact with a lot of people daily. You know, we meet people with different ideas, people with different projects and everything. And the main challenge we have is lots of young persons carry out projects who are not sustainable at all. I think that's a call for concern, because so many people do projects because let me do and put it on Facebook. Yeah. The world should see that we have done something. Let me do and at the end of the day, you notice that lots of people or organizations carry out the same project, right? And tomorrow there is still need for that project to be done because it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So what's your take on that?
Young people are so impatient, very impatient. They don't believe in the process. They want to have the results, but they don't want to put in the work. I want to go back to my early experience, Mandela Washington Fellowship. I was telling my friend Pedro that, and I always share this experience everywhere, that it took me 5 years to prepare for Mandela Washington Fellowship. And then when I applied and succeeded, it felt like it's overnight success. No. When I was preparing for this in 2017, they asked me to apply for Mandela Washington Fellowship, and I said, no, it's not time. In 2018, they said apply. I said, no, it's not time for me to apply. In 2019, I started on my application, and nobody needed to convince me that I was going to be selected. When I was applying, I went to the embassy. When they called me to the embassy for interview, I went there and I was calling people and saying, I will be selected for this program, and I was selected. That's because it took the time to prepare. And young people just want to have something, show on social media, the sustainability is not there. And then in the eve of programs like Yali, they realized that someone came to my house and took my pictures to confirm if I actually went to the US. I took the pictures and confirmed, like, wow, I want to apply. I said, bro, this thing is not as a thing. You don't just wake up and see about Yali and then you want to apply. It doesn't
just
work
like that.
And then the guy got angry with me and cut off the relationship with me. And I said, fine. Yeah, it's fine like that. But it describes what young people do. They want results, but they don't want to put in the work. They don't want to put in the patience. They don't want to follow the process. And that's why we get into things that are not sustainable. We want to be at the eve of the success, but we don't want to put in the work that pushes us to succeed. I'm not speaking like somebody who has not failed. If I tell you how many times I've failed, and up to now I still fail, it's not because I was selected for Yali that you think that I'm successful.
Fail every day.
I fail every day. On a daily basis I fail, but the accumulation of those failures, my night tears make me more stronger and make me to go back to the drawing board on a daily basis and recreate myself, recreate the product that I want to propose to the society. And a combination of those failures and challenges make my project, the outcome, more stronger. That you just wake up one morning and you want to organize an activity and showcase on social media. That's your objective. Your objective is to show on social media that you're doing something. That is not sustainable. You do not have, when you have that kind of mindset, you don't have the patience to put in the work, to cut the T's and dot the I's. Is it how they say it? Yes.
So now, what is the way forward? Having such organizations, having such young persons who believe that it has to be like that. What is the way forward? How do we remedy the situation? Because I think it starts from somewhere, right? And we have some leaders who are out there being showcased and everything. Sometimes you look at what they do, you're like, really? And the bad thing is they have people that look up to them. Right, and these people that look up to them have a tendency of following their footsteps, right? For example, let me take a simple example. Mr. Bochum Samuel here, like whenever there was a seminar, whenever there's a conference, I mean, we are done with the conference. Why some of us are discussing, we haven't met for a long time. We're kind of greeting each other and everything. Mr. Bochum Samuel is arranging chairs. Like he's fixing chairs. He was just invited to the event as a participant. Then he's busy fixing chairs. We used to laugh at him that he likes to walk or something. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you understand that that's servant leadership, right? Nobody asked him to do it. Yeah. But he sees that there is a need for it. And just the fact that we see him, yes, we talk about it, we laugh about it, but it rings a bell in our head. Just by him doing that little action, we are like, this brother likes work, or he just wants to do things. We are the ones organizing the events. We are sitting, discussing, but he's busy doing that. And at the end of the day, when you notice that, when you start attending more events, you're like, wow, I need to do this. Yeah. Like I need to go out when it's happening. I need to do that. It's only then that you kind of look at the impact of what you do, and kind of people can easily connect with you. People see you, they want to replicate what you do. But now when you have these leaders that are all over social media, people, they have the 400 likes, 500 likes and everything, and you don't see what they're doing in the society. It's discouraging. So how do you do to make sure that people that see these kind of things don't get discouraged, or they are able to go forward no matter what?
There's a discussion on social media from a friend that I don't want to mention. I think I just had that discussion with Nathan. That discussion is very disturbing. That young people getting out of the university should not get involved in civil society. That's a very destructive conversation.
Why?
Civil society is an art, and that art is very relevant to the growth of the society. Let's go back to Yali. Yali is designed, if they didn't take cognizance of the fact that civil society is important to the growth of society, they would have done it with two tracks, business and public management. But you look at it as business, public management, and civic engagement. It means that they want to empower next generation of civic leaders. The society is an interconnection of, it's an intersection of these three components: business, public space, and civic space. And one cannot function without the other. Those things are very important. Just like in the public space, there are gaps. Just like in the private sector, there are gaps. And in the civil society too, there are gaps. These gaps that you identify, those are realities in the civic space. The question is, do we abandon the civic space because of the gaps? No. We need to find the solutions. What is the solution? Young people need to get back to volunteerism. If I tell you the number of years I've volunteered, you will never believe.
Please tell us.
I don't want to talk.
We want to know, we insist.
I've volunteered more than 6 years. Volunteering from one organization to another, learning the dynamics of civil society. Like I said, it's an art. You must learn the art. If you don't learn it, you'll be on social media and you'll talk and people will feel like you're doing well, whereas
you're empty.
You need to put in the work through volunteerism. Learn from the people who have gone ahead of you. How are these people succeeding? What did they do that I am not doing? How do they grab funding? How do they draft a report? How do they organize an event? Those are intricacies of civil society that if you do not know, you'll be bragging about on social media that you're a civic leader, whereas you don't know anything. I realized that in the civic space, people do not have a focus. A lot of people want to create impact everywhere. They want to solve all the problems in this world. Bro, you can't. You will die. Seriously. You're going to die. You can't solve all problems in this world. Even the United Nations has not solved all the problems in this world. You that you don't have, your landlord is asking you to pay house rent, you don't have, you want to solve all problems in this world. It's not possible. So you can only identify a small problem, not a small problem, a problem that your little resources can reach. And you get to build your capacity to be able to intervene in that area. You will not want to solve all the 17 SDGs because you hear that there are 17 SDGs, you are working on clean water and sanitation, the next day you're working on peace and security, and then the other day you're working on democracy, and the next day you're working on energy. You can't be an expert in everything, for crying out loud. You need to choose one thing.
Choose a niche.
Yeah, choose a niche, build a capacity on that and intervene, and that is how the world is going to identify you. The world does not identify people who are everywhere.
That's true.
The world identifies people who are somewhere in a little corner creating an impact, and it's going to ring a bell. Trust me, the world needs people who are specialized, not experts in everything. That is a mistake young people are making today. They just want to be everywhere. They want to solve problems in human rights, they want to solve problems in democracy, they want to solve problems, they want to solve climate change problems, they want to solve energy, everything that is coming up, you want to solve. That is a very big mistake. You will never be focused. Nobody is going to identify you. People will not know where to identify you. So make yourself identifiable in a particular area. Find a niche that you know that you have the capacity to address that problem. And when I talk about capacity, please don't limit yourself to financial capacity. I always say this: social capital is your expertise and your network. You need to be able to build your capacity to understand the subject matter, understand the solution that you're bringing. Now you're able to create a network, like Yali for instance, where you can get to those networks and create connections with like-minded people and with experts in and out of the country who can support you towards addressing that particular challenge. But when you, first of all, do not have the capacity, when you do not have the technical know-how to address a particular challenge, and you create a network, you can't even create a network to start with, because you're creating a network, people are identifying you based on where you're going to. That's how you begin to create a relevant network. But accidentally, you can find yourself in a network and you do not have the capacity to address issues, you become irrelevant in that network. Yeah, so you need to be able to build capacity, find yourself in a network, and then use that network to address a particular challenge. Like this again, particular challenge, not all the challenges.
Particular
you can't
challenge.
solve all the problems. Let me say this again, Facebook is not all over the world. And it's not because they don't want, it's because they don't have the resources to reach all over the world. Trust me, they don't have the resources to reach all over the world. And you can know the kind of financial resource that Facebook mobilizes. It's one of the richest companies in the world, but they are not all over the world. What does that mean? It means you cannot be everywhere. You cannot solve all the problems in this world. It's not possible. You have to choose a particular niche, choose a particular
intentional
area that you're solving. It can be a village. Go to a village, create an impact, focus there, no matter how difficult it is. Somebody will identify you and come there, and you'll be going to the UN to attend programs because you are addressing a problem in your village. Don't be surprised that the United Nations will one day invite you to come and speak and gather resources to go back to your community because you are addressing a particular problem in your village. That's how it works. For you to get to that top level, you must be addressing a problem at the grassroots level. That's how it works.
All right. Okay, so before we continue, do we have any question so far? Do we have any questions? Do we have an experience we would like to share concerning our engagement in civil society or something which can be relevant to the discussion?
I must say, when the word civic, it means that it's close to the word citizens. You know, people is more about people and who are taking commitments, you know, towards addressing issues that they face within their community to a much better state or situation. So, and that goes by being able to identify, be resilient, and propose solutions, engage different persons, you know, mobilizing resources, you know, carrying out activity, evaluating, reporting, and so on. So, but then, I want to highlight about being competent within particular area of interest.
Being competent?
Yeah, competent. It doesn't just end by building your capacity and having the competence, it's about also giving time to it. That's resilience. You know, resilient is what now make people with time to also want to engage with you, want to trust you, want to believe, and also chip in. And not just that, when you be resilient, you also need to show evidence. Evidence is as a result of, to say, is it the output or outcome of what you've been doing? You can want to see how many people have been able to train who are also making a difference. You know, it's not just about talking or mobilizing, but seeing that people who pass through you are much better than what they were before. And trust me, once you're able to, you know, work with people, because we're in a very global world today, and even in your village, as he highlighted, you must make sure those people they feel very, very inclusive, you know, in all participations and activities. And this is where the opportunity comes. Once you are a leader who's at the forefront, trying to, you know, bring new ideas to situation, opportunity always comes when you least expect. Now, given my, for example, let me take myself for example here. Over the years, you know, I'm more into the area of peace, you know, peace building, that's what I've been able to do. And recently, one of my friends in Brazil just contacted me. They want to localize the UN SDGs, mostly Goal 16 on the Security Council resolution. You know, the UN General Assembly 77, we're just going on recently in New York. So this friend in Ghana, who is part of this team there, want to do one activity. And they need people across the continent and different countries that are going to work in localizing, implementing the Security Council resolution 250 on, you know, peace and security. So that guy just thought about me, and I have to say, hey, there's a guy in Cameroon going through this, that's his domain, concept peace building, and he's going to be there. So immediately he sent my name to the lady in the US, the lady contacted me, and we don't go further, just my profile, I just have to just share with her. She was just like screaming, you know, I said, hey, I've never gone through it, but trust me, you'll be appointed as the country head. And she's already asked instantly that, will you be able on this date, you know, to travel to this country? We're going to take care of everything. Now, this is to let us know that when you are able to carve image, you build, you want to be humble. There are many things, factors. When you are a good leader, don't be too proud. Always make sure you are accessible. You are available. You are serviceable. To the people which you want to engage to drive change. And this is just what happened. Civic engagement. Once you are making a difference, opportunity will come. You don't need to go and work so hard to have money to pay flights. And more to that, John he said about probably the Washington Fellowship Program is a very tough program, and a lot of things are taken into consideration. For example, I was for the interview last time. I was in Yaoundé. I was interviewed by this two lady from Washington, and they said we appreciate the clarity of your activity. So, but then the truth is that there are many people applying in this 70. They can't take everyone. You get the point. But when you are being shortlisted from Washington, based on everything, it means that you are making a difference. So don't give up. Keep trying. You can't be everywhere. International organizations work in different dynamics. We have the UN, the African Union, the Commonwealth, and they have Nexus where they work together. So therefore, you must be humble.
And belong somewhere.
Exactly. If you are able to do that, then you are driving change in your community.
Thank you very much.
Just like my brother said, you must be identified for something. Do not be mixed in the two. They don't know whether you're in the private sector or in civil society. You're just hanging there in the balance. It's like a confused individual. Nobody's going to. You can be a civil society actor, but you have a business that supports you, and you promote the civil society's face more than the business face. That you're a civil society actor, and it's supporting you.
Is Cameroon adequate for youth activism? Is it accessible for persons who want to get active in the society? The policies put in place, does it make it easy for youth, or it's complicated?
Cameroon is a fragile democracy. When I talk about fragile democracy, some people say that there is freedom of speech in Cameroon, but there is no freedom after speech. Now, you understand what I mean by that? Yeah, that is where we are. This is the context we are. And it affects the civic space. If Piero is here, I would have brought him to be here. And
He stepped out.
He stepped out. I would love him to be here and understand this. Because he knows a lot about politics and legal issues. And about freedom of speech and the rest. The civil society, when you're working there, especially those who work on issues of human rights, it means that you're stepping on toes of those who own power. It means that you're going to denounce people who own power. There was a moment, every time we're going to agree, there was a moment it felt like I was going to arrest him. Yeah, well, I wasn't arrested, but yeah. He's telling you that when I did the video in the US, in the US, people were like, are you going to go back to Cameroon? I said, yes, I'm going to go back to Cameroon. Because if I get arrested, I get arrested. What I said was the reality. That is what civil society, that's what civil engagement means. It means that you step on those. And we work in a very complex situation in Cameroon. I'm not the one to tell you, we live in this country. Government is there, but one week goes down. Because we know how it's going to get, one week goes down. We're going to be there, we're going to be in the house. And if you dare talk about it, they're going to kidnap you and call you black legs. There are black legs and there are yellow legs and there are white legs and all
brown
legs. Brown legs and all kinds of legs that you can find everywhere. So that's the complex world, and makes it very, very challenging. And I think that this is one of the reasons why young people are running away from this space, because they can't stand the heat. And there is a difference between somebody who works with an NGO and an activist. Somebody who works with an NGO is just focused on working for my boss. At the end of one day I take my salary and I go back to my house. You don't know me in this open space. I don't intervene in media. I don't talk to policymakers. I don't shoot like what I'm doing. You don't go out and stuff. The people who are just interested in working in an office and taking their salaries at the end, nobody knows about them. When we talk about civic engagement, it is constructively building the society by being realistic, speaking out on the things that need to be spoken against, and proposing the solutions. Most importantly, proposing the solution. It's not just criticism for the sake of criticism, but criticizing and proposing solutions. I used to appear a lot on high TV. Yes, people used to invite me a lot on high TV, and I used to go. When I move around now, people are like, you're no longer going to high TV. I said my policy has changed. Because I realized that high TV I was just criticizing, and without proposing solutions. I realized that in my civic spaces, I need to work more and propose solutions, not just criticizing for the sake of criticism. Because I realized on the TV I was shouting a lot, and it's like nobody was listening to me. Let me go down.